has more than 30 years of research and teaching experience. She is one of the leading researchers in the environmental field. Her research areas include water and soil pollution, bioremediation, microbial fuel cell technology, constructed wetland technology, and EIA studies. She is a gold medalist and awarded several distinguished awards, such as Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Fellowship Award and the Nehru Memorial Foundation Prize. She has more than 100 publications to her credit that include research papers in peer-reviewed international and national journals, technical reports, and books. She has been member of editorial board of 6 reputed journals and is in reviews panel of about 20 international journals. She was awarded TST Young Scientist Research Project and implemented more than 7 major research projects funded by various funding agencies. She has produced 15 PhD scholars and member of various national committees and professional bodies. So today, Mom is going to take this session on ecocentric approaches. This is very relevant topic with respect to COVID-19 pandemic. I request Mom to start the session. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. First of all, I really congratulate all my fellow colleagues in the department, Professor N.C. Gupta, the Dean, who took the initiative of organizing this FTP at a very short time, and all the coordinators along with the team of research scholars and other colleagues. They really worked so hard, and I am really so happy to see that it is going very well, covering lots of varied topics. So I take this opportunity, participants, to share with you my views on ecocentric approach for sustainability. Now, this is not a very new approach, but I think this is something which we have to emphasize now. There is a growing need in the post-COVID era. Before we start, I think we have to quickly review how the human beings are related to the environment and the Earth's life support system. This is not something very new, and many of you are already aware of it. But on the left side, you find that we are talking about the Earth's life support system, where we have the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the lithosphere, and the biosphere. As a normal rule, human beings should have been put in this biosphere itself, but it has been put separately. The reason is that human beings, or the Homo sapiens as a species, it has got a very varied culture sphere. It has shown explosive population growth. It has been, actually, this is the only species which has a very well-developed brain. And it is because of that, the human beings, they have been indulging in so many activities. We are developing, we are undergoing economic development. There are many political issues that are being, influencing the overall scenario of the environment. And how in this life support system, you can see that every component is interrelated with each other. And here, whether these are the different cultural sphere components of the human beings, they are also interrelated with each other. And both these, the life support system and the human culture sphere, they are also interlinked, and that means they are influencing each other and getting influenced by the other. Now, this particular picture is going to give you a view how the Homo sapiens, which we think we are so important, so in the geographical time scale, how we have appeared on the earth. So the first simple cells appeared about 3.5 billion years ago. The first multicellular life forms, they appeared about a billion years ago. And then came the land plants, which was about 475 million years ago. Then you all are aware about the giant-sized dinosaurs, which appeared and also disappeared. So about 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs also came and disappeared. And on this long trail you find here is the Homo sapiens. So Homo sapiens arrived about 2 lakh years ago. So if you just put this whole timeline of life, what you can find that if you are taking it as a 1 kilometer stretch, starting from here to here, so then we find that the timeline of the human beings has been just 300th of a millimeter. So this figure just gives you an idea that as a species, when the human beings or the Homo sapiens arrived on the earth, that was at a very later stage. But the type of the dominance that we have now started showing, and rather we have taken the control of the whole earth due to our various activities. Now, one of the major reasons has been how we have impacted the whole earth. That is because of the population growth. What we find that in the beginning years, you find that 2 to 5 million years ago, when the human beings were just like a hunter-gatherer. So they were just like any other animal. So the population was quite low. It continued like that. We entered into the agricultural era. There was agricultural revolution, which really caused a lot of impact on the overall behavior of the human beings. Now, what happened? The hunter-gatherer human being was all the time wandering, and it was totally dependent on the wild species, whatever was available, he was just hunting it and eating upon it. But during agricultural revolution, what he started settling down. That was the period when the human beings, they started settling as families. They started domesticating some animals which were of their direct use, or they started growing or cultivating those plant species which were of their interest. Then what we observe, till that time the population growth is very, very less. But once the industrial revolution started, the industrial revolution 1985-86, you find that there was a sharp increase in the population. This was the exponential growth phase of population, and that was the time when most of the severe impacts on the earth became visible. Look at the population growth. What we find that this is the population growth curve for the developed countries. You can see that it increased, but not at all in an exponential manner, and it tended to stabilize after 2000. On the other hand, this is the population growth of the developing countries. So it is still continuing at a very fast rate, and we are not seeing any signs that it is going to stabilize till 2050. So the world population that has tremendously increased over the past years, and between 1950 to 2004, it showed exponential growth increasing from 2.5 to 6.4 billion, reached 7.4 in 2006 and 16, and now it is already 7.7 billion. Now the question arises that how the population which is present on the globe is impacting the earth and the ecosystems. There is a wide disparity you will find that this red one is showing the developed countries and the yellow is showing the developing countries. So only 19% of the world population is actually in the developed nations and 81 in the developing. But if you look at the wealth and income, you find this wide disparity, only 15% in the developing and the remaining in the developed. Coming to the resource use, 88% of the resources, these are consumed by the developed countries. Similarly, a major contribution to pollution and waste is also by the developed countries. So there is a wide gap between the population, resource use, the pollution, and the waste generation by the developing and the developed countries. So when we are talking about sustainable development, we are actually talking about the economic growth. And development is very important. If you want to raise the quality of life, you have to develop. But along with that, we find that it is having so many offshoots. There is going to be the depletion of the resources. There is going to be pollution of the atmosphere, water, and even the soil, and so many related issues they come in. And one of the biggest issues that we face today, that is the global climate change problem. Now, if you look at the economy, our economy is mainly fossil fuel based because we are mostly dependent upon the fossil fuels like carbon, petroleum. And when we say development, we take it as an index, like how much is the energy consumption by a particular country, that is taken as an index of its degree of development. And since most of the energy consumption is by the use of the fossil fuels, so the carbon emissions that we find are going to be released along with every unit of energy that we are consuming, and it is strongly correlated with the particularly with the climate change problem. With the course of development, what we find that there has been a worldwide increase in the requirement of energy or energy resources, and between 2000 to 2030, it is believed to be increasing at a rate of 1.8% per year. So all this carbon dioxide, which is being emitted through our development activities, that is becoming one of the major threats that we are facing today in the form of, say, global warming, or more accurately, the climate change problem. Now, even yesterday, you had an idea about what is a carbon footprint. So every activity or every produce that we have on the earth, that is having certain carbon footprints. I'm not going into the details because yesterday you already had one very good lecture in which you learned about what are these carbon footprints. So even if you are organizing this FDP, had it been in the proper physical spaces, then each one of you would have to travel to GGSIP University, and all the resource persons, they would also have to reach IP University either by car or some of the, yesterday you even had some speakers day before or yesterday who are from very far off places, even from other countries. So just imagine that the whole event, if you just look at the carbon footprint of the whole FDP event, it would have been so high. And now we are just sitting in our own, places and having it on the digital platform. Don't think that it is not having any carbon footprint. It is also having some carbon footprints because as you have learned yesterday also, you must have seen that even if we are going to send some emails, with the sending of every email, you find that we are actually releasing certain carbon emissions. And this is something which we have to consider. Don't think that just by this video conferencing, we are becoming totally carbon neutral. So what we have to do, we have to think how to reduce the carbon footprint. So reducing try to reduce the emissions in all processes as far as possible. Then reducing the generation of all types of the waste. Try to minimize the generation of the waste. We as human beings, we have become very prone to generation of the waste. If you look at nature, in nature, nothing is waste. Because what is waste of one particular, component, that becomes the food for some other component. So there is no waste at all in nature. But with the human societies, the human, activities, they have been responsible for generating so much of the waste. As my earlier speaker, Dr. Suman, was pointing out, that there was a time when people, when she was doing her PhD, she said that people used to say, why are you working on this problem? What is the importance? And now everybody realizes that what a big challenge it has become to deal with the solid wastes that are being generated by the humankind, by all the metropolitan cities and all, even urban, rural, everywhere we are producing these wastes. So what we have to do, we have to recycle the wastes to reduce the emissions and reuse the wastes by converting them to power or to compost. So these are certain things which you have already been listening to. So what are the alternatives? We have to go for some alternate sources of energy. So mostly we have to depend upon the renewable energy alternatives. Now solar power, this is one of the most forthcoming, renewable source of energy which we have to depend upon. Particularly for India, you know that India has tremendous potential for solar energy because our country is such. We get the sunlight for very long period of the year. And if you look at the solar power potential, we are already at 36.8 gigawatts, and we have a very ambitious target that we will get 100 gigawatts by 2022. But still, if you look at the total contribution of the solar power of the total installed capacity of the country, it is just 9.8%. So we can really move ahead. There is a lot of potential. Then the hydropower. The hydropower potential, that we have a lot of hydropower potential. The reason being that we are very fortunate to have so many rivers and so many very typical areas where we can really harness the hydropower. But hydropower, it has taken a back seat because of so many socioeconomic and also some environmental impacts that are associated with it. Though the hydropower, it is a very clean energy. But instead of going for, say, very big dams, now we are also thinking of run on the river type of the dams, which have less impacts or less socioeconomic impacts. Then wind energy is another option. India is already the fourth largest. And then the nuclear power. Nuclear power has tremendous potential. In India, we have 7 nuclear powers, but you know that nuclear power, although it has tremendous potential, but it is associated with a number of risks. So because of those hazardous risks associated with the nuclear power plant, it is still not becoming that popular as it could have been if we could have really made it all foolproof. Then two more, alternate future fuels that are being looked into are hydrogen and the biofuels. Now, hydrogen is projected as one of the fuels of the future. The reason being that this is the best energy carrying molecule. So it is 3 kilojoules per gram of energy, that is hydrogen, it can carry. Then it is so abundantly available on the planet. It is present in the water. By electrolysis, we can get hydrogen. And even more important, when it burns, it is just combining with oxygen and producing water. So there is no pollution. Then how can we make use of hydrogen? we generally make use of hydrogen by using it in the internal combustion engines. We can make use of some, fuel cells into which the hydrogen can be constantly poured, and then it is in many parts of the world. We have already started using the hydrogen as a fuel, and you can see that just like a petrol pump, hydrogen is being fed into this car, which is run by hydrogen. Now, one of the very important aspects that this is very dear to me, because I have been working in this field. This is one of my research areas. So biohydrogen from wastewater. Till now, we were commercially only talking about the production of hydrogen uh, through electrolysis or by certain chemical methods. We were producing hydrogen. But now the concept of biohydrogen from wastewaters, that has come up in a very big way, and we can make use of certain bacteria and green algae and cyanobacteria, which can treat the wastewater, and the wastewater containing a lot of organic matter that is converted into acetates, then fermented, and then finally hydrogen can be produced. So this is one of the areas that is now coming up. Another alternate that we can think of are the biofuels. Now you have the biofuels starting from the first generation sucrose containing materials, then we came to the starchy materials, then second generation we went to the biomass, lignocellulosic biomass, and then the third generation, the algae. We are having more and more development of the biofuel resources. So the use of biofuels, you can see here, it is increasing, but still most of it is the vegetable oil, which we are using as biofuel. And the biomass-based, that is still less, and the algae-based biofuels, this one is actually still in developing, and we have to do more of R&D work. In my lab also, some work is going on in this area. And as per the national policy on biofuels in 2018, the government has proposed that by 2030, all the fossil fuels will have to be blended with a minimum of 20% biofuels. So I think these are the changes that are happening in our country also, as far as the energy use scenario is concerned. And these are the areas where more R&D is required. And ultimately, this will be going a long way in reducing the, decline of the carbon emissions. Now, coming to what is the actual impact of the human beings on the earth. So carbon footprint was something which you could understand. Then another concept is about the ecological footprint, about which yesterday also you had some idea. So what is actually ecological footprint? It is a measure of biologically productive land and water needed to support each person. When we say support, what do we mean? Support doesn't mean that how much we actually need for consuming. So it is also going to take into account how much of the waste that we are producing, which those resources are able to assimilate or detoxify. So that total requirement is giving you the concept of ecological footprint. Now you have a very interesting figure here. You can see that this one is showing the ecological footprint 9.6. This is the ecological footprint of United States. This is of course in hectares per person, because you know that the Americans, they are really having a very consumer, they are very consumer, have a lot of emphasis on consumerism. So that is the reason why they have very high ecological footprint. Coming to Netherlands, it is only having 3.8, and then India shows a very small ecological footprint of 0.8. But this is not something on which we can be very happy, because ecological footprint is not only going to be considered based on per capita, but what is the total population of the country. So when you multiply it with the population, you find United States, it is showing 3 billion hectares. Look at Netherlands. It has shrunk to a very small ecological footprint of 62 million hectares because the population is very less. In India, the ecological footprint that has increased from here, this small, here it has become large because the population size of our country, this is quite big. Now this, although this ecological footprint is a concept, so this is a theoretical, it gives you a theoretical idea about how we are using the resources, how the resources are responding to our anthropogenic pressures. So this figure shows all over these years, 1961 onwards, what we find that if we look at what is the percentage of the Earth's resources that we have used. So actually here on the y-axis, it is represented as number of Earths. Like in the beginning, in 1961, you find that about even less than 0.7, that means less than 70% of the Earth's resources that were present were being sustainably used by the world population. But then we find that with the advancing years, particularly with the development of the industrial era, we find that an increase in the humanity's ecological footprint has taken place. And here, this is the sign of one. In 1980s, you find that whatever are the resources, we were actually properly using it in a way that the resources were able to give us the required needs. At the same time, it was able to dissipate or deal with all the waste that were produced by us. But then after that, you find that this increase has taken place. So that means this is an overshoot. We have already overshot the resources of the earth that were meant to cater to our needs. So humanity's ecological footprint have reached 1.2, which means actually, to be more accurate, it is 1.21. So it means that one planet is not enough for us. The way we are growing, the way we are behaving, we really need 1.21 planets to deal with all our activities, our consumption pattern, the way we are producing the waste. But unfortunately, we really do not have other planet to live on. There is only one planet. So we have to mend our ways. We have to see how we have to go back to the carrying capacity of the earth. So if you want to live sustainably, what we have to do till now, whatever we discussed, we have understood that we have to reduce our carbon footprints and our ecological footprints. So what we can do, we have to kick off our carbon dioxide habit. We are in the habit of doing activities, using resources, or doing everything where directly or indirectly you will know that you are responsible for emissions of CO2. So that is one of the biggest thing that has become a habit of ours. So you can reduce your CO2 emissions. Like there are many ways by which you can reduce your CO2 emission habit. Then the simplest thing which we can do is growing more trees, because the trees are taking the carbon dioxide, they sequester the carbon dioxide, and they produce the food by photosynthesis. And as I discussed, use more renewable energy resources, minimize the waste stream, as my previous speaker has already discussed on this, that we have to reduce, reuse, and recycle. This is something which we have to learn from nature. I would again like to emphasize here that the waste which we are producing, as these are the anthropogenic waste. In nature, nothing is waste. So we have to bear in mind that how we should be able to reduce our waste generation, and if we have produced certain waste, let us think of reusing them or recycling them. Now, the concept of recovering the nutrients from the waste, that has become one of the major, forthcoming principle. Then we have to be very sure, like we are good consumers, we should know how to use the eco-friendly products. Whenever you go to the market, you will see that you have some star markings. Based on that, you can find out what is the efficiency of the product, and then many of the labelings are there based on which you can understand that which is the eco-friendly product. So these are certain ways of life that we have to adopt so that we are able to reduce the carbon footprints and for reducing the ecological footprints. Then coming to the nature part, it's extremely important to protect and conserve the biodiversity. Actually, what is biodiversity? You know that biodiversity is not just the diversity, the wild variability of the species, the plants, animals, and the microorganisms. It also includes all those niches where this biodiversity is flourishing. It includes all those ecosystems. So the biodiversity at the genetic level, at the species level, and at the ecosystem level, all this is creating a tremendously complex biosphere. And more the complex the biosphere is, more are the chances of having greater resilience. So what generally we do as human beings, what we did, you start from that beginning slide where I talked about the agriculture revolution. So during the agriculture revolution, we started simplifying those ecosystems. We started cutting down the forests, clearing the forests, and we started growing plants which we thought are useful to us, because we started depending upon, say, wheat or rice or maize, and we started growing those crops. So we simplified the ecosystem. We started depending upon some of the animals, we domesticated them. Now, what happens when we are simplifying the ecosystems? We are actually destroying the resilience of the ecosystems. That means we are introducing more instability into the ecosystem. So if you want that sustainability should be there, we must protect maximum biodiversity. It will help in building up the resilience, and it will absorb many of the environmental disturbances. Like you know that when this cyclone Amphan came, that once it reached the Sundarban mangroves, then its power, its ferocious nature, that was calmed down, because it was the vegetation of the mangroves which was able to absorb that environmental disturbance. Now, coming to what are the principles of sustainability, particularly when we are talking about the Earth's functioning. First is the reliance on solar energy. Sun is actually the ultimate source of energy. Whatever other renewable sources of energy we just now talked about, most of these are actually derived or driven by the solar energy. So ultimate is solar energy, and we have to try to rely maximum on solar energy or those forms of energy which are driven by solar energy. Then second, biodiversity, as just now I emphasized, and third is the nutrient cycling. Now, you see that nature has got brilliant nutrient cycles. All these minerals, metals, nutrients, they keep on circulating. There is the circulation of the chemicals from the environment. When we say environment, I'm going to include the air, the water, and the soil. And from there, they again come to the organisms and then again go back to the environment. This is cyclic movement of the nutrients or the materials. So from here, actually, this latest concept of C2C approach, that is the cradle to cradle approach, which has actually been evolved in the minds of the ecologists, but now it has been taken up by the economists. So we have to move from linearity to cyclic movement. Linearity means we are going to move in a single linear fashion, and then what is it going to generate? It is going to generate the wastes. But we do not have to go for the waste generation. What we should try to do, we should try to go for more cyclic loop, so that whatever is being produced, it should be reused, recycled, or it should be used in some other process. So now we even have the concept of industrial ecosystems. In Copenhagen, there is a beautiful industrial ecosystem has developed where one industry is producing something which is coming as a byproduct or as a waste product, but it is used as a raw material by another industry. So in that way, a very beautiful, industrial ecosystem has developed. So today, whatever approach we are following in the C2C, whatever we are trying to emphasize on, that is also the basis of the circular economy, which is being emphasized so much in today's time. So basically, all this knowledge that has been derived from our Earth's existing principles of sustainability. So what we have to do, we have to understand what are the sustainability key issues. Though we all know that there are the three pillars: the economy, the population, or the communities, the society, and the ecology, which are to be taken care of together so that we can have the sustainable development. So we have to know what is the natural capital. When we say natural capital, it consists of natural resources. Earlier, we only used to know about the natural resources, that minerals, soil, water, etc., etc. But now we are also understanding that there are natural services, which we call as the ecosystem services or the biodiversity services, which are being provided by our ecosystems. So to keep the sustainability going, we have to have a very clear understanding about the ecological and natural services. And then prevent the degradation of the natural capital by humans. This is something which we as humans have to take care. We should not exceed the carrying capacity of the ecosystems and try to manage our activities so that we are within the assimilation capacity. You know that Earth or the ecosystems have a wonderful regulation system. It is being regulated by a cybernetic system, and it is having the feedback mechanisms. So here, I'm just trying to zoom it a little. So you can see that every ecosystem or every ecological system has got, this is not very clear-cut set point, but rather there is a range, which we call as the homeostatic plateau or the homeostatic range. So within this range, every organism, every ecosystem will try to maintain itself. So if some particular factor is going to increase, so if it is increasing, some negative feedback mechanisms will operate and it will bring it back to the original optimal conditions. If there is a deficiency of some activity or some parameter, it will again the negative feedback mechanisms operate and they bring it to the optimal. So that means there are inbuilt negative feedback mechanisms which try to bring the systems within the homeostatic plateau. That means they try to keep its stability. But there is something which I am now going to share with you, that it is only operating within this homeostatic plateau. If this homeostatic plateau is crossed, that means the type of the stress which we are creating If it has already crossed the threshold value, then nature itself starts behaving in a very different manner. And positive feedback mechanisms start, which take the system even away from the natural conditions. So this is a typical, there are so many examples of negative and positive feedbacks. I'll just share one or two. So this one, this lower one, this is showing that with the rising temperature, what is happening? There is melting of the Arctic Sea. As the ice is melting, you can see in this figure here, this ice is melting, and as a result of what is happening, the reflective ice is disappearing and the darker ocean water that starts absorbing more heat because the albedo that has declined, because the ice which used to reflect most of the radiations, now that has reduced. So as a result, what is happening? It is further increasing the temperature. So this is known as the ice albedo feedback. So this is one of the examples of positive feedback. Similarly, one more very beautiful example is that of the melting of the permafrost and carbon emissions from it, which is again a positive feedback mechanism that is operating in the ecosystems. As the planet is warming up, the permafrost that starts thawing, and in Alaska, we have already, as per the IPCC report, we find that there has been thinning by 4 millimeters in the Alaska. And microbes which are present in this defrosted soil, they become active. They transform once frozen carbon, once upon a time that carbon had been frozen into the permafrost, that is released either into the form of carbon dioxide or methane by the activity or mediation of the microorganisms. So this is again a positive feedback. This melting of the permafrost is occurring because of the high CO2 levels or the high greenhouse gas levels, which are causing the warming. And again, this process is releasing more and more of carbon dioxide and methane, and again contributing towards the global warming problem. And along with this, you can see there are so many other examples. So what is required? I would say that we need to have the ecocentric worldview to be very seriously thought of, and we must try to implement it while we are going for some future development activities. So this is actually based on the philosophy of deep ecology, which was given by Ernst Nice in 1973. You know, what does this worldview say? Because deep ecology was a philosophy in which first time it was, propounded that don't think that human beings are something very special of a species. That was the first time people emphasized that you just learn that we are a species on the earth, like other species. But then the deep ecology movement that became more of a spiritual type of a movement, and less of scientific evidences were associated. But later on, the ecocentric worldview that came forward. Now you know that nature has excellent self-designing properties. These are such properties that are nurturing all the species on the earth. So over such a long period, 3.5 billion years, you find that so many species have been sustained on the surface of the earth. How has it all been possible? Because nature has excellent properties of hierarchy, of self-designing, of self-regulation, and interlinking of different activities of the species. So this has to be one of the basic concepts in ecocentric worldview. Then the Earth's resources are limited and should be used judiciously. This is something which we have to understand. But as human beings, we have been thinking that we have got all the technologies to harness different energy resources, to take out all the minerals and materials from the earth's surface, even from the oceans, and why can't we use it for our development and growth? This is the anthropocentric worldview. But if you are talking about the ecocentric worldview, then we have to understand that these resources have to be used judiciously. Then healthy economy depends upon healthy environment. This we have to remember. Because you know that anthropocentric worldview was saying that if we have very healthy economy, then we will automatically have healthy environment. But with this COVID-19 pandemic, we have already seen that very robust economies, they have also totally failed in front of this. Then complexity of nature that builds resilience. This is a point which I emphasized earlier also. So we have to try to maintain the complexity of the nature and try to avoid simplification of the ecosystems, because it is going to lead to more instability. So what are the lessons that we are learning from COVID-19 pandemic? Now all of us are under complete lockdown conditions. We have seen air pollution has visibly decreased. Everybody has been enjoying. So this was one of the photographs. This is from the CNN report. So November 2019 and then April 2020, same area, you can just see the visible difference. Every one of us in the morning, we see the blue sky, the chirping of the birds. So it gives us that way, it is a silver lining on this pandemic scare, that everybody is appreciating and everybody is thinking that, oh, things should have been like that. So what all our efforts, so much of efforts were taken by environmental protection, trying to close down the industries, trying to resort to odd even. So all these things we were doing because we found that the air quality has gone to severe or very severe condition. But here, no NGT intervention, nothing doing, no activity at all, and you see how nature by itself has done this magic. It has been totally recovered. So we know that it is not going to last for long, because ultimately we are going to open up gradually, but certainly this can serve as a reference data that when there is no activity, so this type of the condition is possible. So whatever we do now, we have to start from here. So this is going to serve as a base for us. Similarly, for the water system also, this is showing the Yamuna. On 21st of March, you see this left figure, and on the right side, you find what was the condition on 1st of April, just in a period of, say, 10 days. You know that the rivers are really showing convalescence. In Yamuna, you know that 3,500 MLD of domestic wastewater is discharged. Out of that, 1,100 is actually treated, 2,400 is even untreated form, it is entering into the rivers. So, and from the industrial wastewater, about 9% is actually the discharge, which was set by CPCB. But now what we see, that there has been no industrial activity, but certainly we think that the domestic sewage must have been there. And whether it was actually properly, all the STPs were functional or not, it is still not very clear. But at least we can see that there has been a dramatic change in the quality of the water. Even there were reports that in Harki Padi, the water quality has become so good that you can just drink it. So these are the things which are really showing that the river ecosystem really has the capability of recovering itself or purifying itself. It is not Ganga, it is Yamuna. So every ecosystem has got a property of purification, self-purification, and this is possible when we are limiting the, disturbing inputs into it. So this is again one figure everybody has seen from Jammu, from Jalandhar. People have seen the Himalayan peaks which were not seen for, say, decades. So these are the things which show that how the nature has been recovering itself. Then the return of the Gangetic dolphins in Bihar. This was another very welcome step. Not just this, there are so many other types of the examples that have come out, and on the social media, all of you must have seen the appearance of the different types of the wild animals, the many plants and all. So what is actually happening when I have just tried to give a simile between the novel coronavirus, which invades the host, disturbs the natural order in the body system. What it is doing, it is replicating, growing, and it is detrimental to the host, that is the human beings. So this is the biggest biological disaster for the mankind. On the other hand, we, the human beings, we have disrupted the natural system. We are growing and developing in a manner that is detrimental to our planet and to all other and to many other species within it. And we are heading towards even more serious ecological disaster. Just trying to link up a few things related to the pandemic, we find that global warming has a disease link. The global warming is changing the behavior of many species, including the disease-causing organisms, as has been reported by many experts. There are several research papers coming which are showing this. Many species are spreading from the tropics into new regions and are causing diseases like the Zika and the dengue. More diseases are likely to come due to climate change. Even today in the news, we were finding that the Batwoman, she was saying that many more diseases are going to come in future. So we have to be very careful about our activities. And then even the melting of the permafrost by climate change, it may release certain microbes and cause new diseases. So these are the areas where we have to do research and find out that what are actually going to be the consequences. Similarly, a link between the deforestation and the viral epidemic. You know that deforestation increases the risk of zoonosis, because this also has been discussed by one of the speakers earlier. And we know that so many viral or bacterial diseases are coming from, say, the bats, from the rodents or the carnivores. But it is mainly because we have done a lot of damage to the forests. We have disturbed those habitats. And this has actually brought us more in contact with the wild species. Similarly, the illegal trading of the wild animals, that is also one of the important reasons. Similarly, the wet animal market in Wuhan. So all these are now being considered to be responsible for the jumping of the virus from the wild animal, to the human being. So nature had the dwelling places for all. So the forests, the grasslands, or the different types of the ecosystems which are existing on the earth, every ecosystem has developed some specialized niche for the species, and where they are working in a very stabilized manner, because these ecosystems have not developed overnight. Millions of years have been required to develop all this. So that is the reason, when it's something is so spread over such a long time, that always leads to more stability. So preventing the deforestation and maintaining healthy biodiversity can reduce the conditions causing zoonosis. So finally, what should be the post-COVID approach for sustainability? So it is by itself, it is a full topic. I'll just touch upon a few points. So we know that the economy all over the world is in such a bad shape. So new economic growth models are required to be developed, but with a strong focus on equity and inclusive growth, which is very, very important. We have really seen how our migrant laborers have been so badly affected by this. So they had all moved from their local places to the big cities in search of employment and livelihood. So we have to think of models where every region should have some opportunities for growth. Then shift from unlimited fancy development to frugal and core development. Again, I think this is something very important. You just look at the way we had been having a crazy development. And most of the times we find that something which is not required is also being done. You just look at the wedding parties, the way people, it had become an industry actually. So what is actually required? Now what COVID-19 is doing, COVID-19 is now, it has already set up the norms. When we are going to some hotel, whenever the pandemic lockdown is over, you are not going to sit in those, areas with lots of people, so social distancing and all. So that means all those fancy things which were present in big offices, in big restaurants, big hotels, all those things suddenly become redundant. Now, what we are looking at more core things. So that is why we say that frugal and core development is now going to take the fore. Then we have to adopt practices when we can bring in more resilience in the society so that we can face any big challenge, any big disturbance. So I think my next speaker will speak more on that, Professor Bhattacharya. So I think I can just switch over to the next. Then the ecocentric approach, which is utilizing nature's self-designing, self-regulating, and self-cleansing properties, we should try to use them the most, which is very important. So the concept of eco technology that is coming, even if we are trying to find out technological solutions to our technological problems, we have to look at the ecological principles. There are so many environmental tools that are already existing in nature, which can give a response, which can give a solution to our problems. So, with these words, I would just say let's learn to live with nature's wisdom and follow the ecocentric approach and have a sustainable and safer future. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with such a wonderful lecture. So this is
Thank you.
actually a new approach. When we talk about ecocentrism, we address towards sustainable use of abiotic components particularly. There are three concepts: human-centric or anthropocentric, biocentric, and ecocentric. So COVID-19 has taught us to practice practice and use towards ecocentric. Just like I'm just citing one example. When we talk about plastic, there are two alternatives. It may be we may go for biodegradable plastic or non-biodegradable plastic. When we talk about biodegradable plastic, it costs more. In market, everything we get, there are labeled products, green product. For that, we have to pay more. So now, from this lesson, we have to decide which direction we have to go. And I am here with stopping because our next speaker actually he has to go Gurgaon. The border will be sealed. That's why we have to start the session immediately. Thank you, ma'am, for
Thank you. Thank you very much.
such a wonderful lecture, ma'am. So we are just, I am just let's introduce Bhattacharya sir. Sumit Bhattacharya sir is connected. Hello.
Yes, he is already here.
Okay. So it is my honor to introduce Professor Prodyut Bhattacharya. His expertise in the area of natural resource management. He has more than 25 years of experience in teaching and research. He is a fellow of vast environmental leadership program of the University of California, Berkeley, USA, and visiting scientist fellowship under University of Tsukuba, Japan. His research area includes community forestry, livelihood, biodiversity and natural resource management, urban forestry, rural development and governance, certification, and sustainable forest management. He was the founder, coordinator, and head to set up the International Center for Community Forestry at IIFM Bhopal. He has published over 125 research papers in international and national journals, including articles, technical reports, book chapters, conference papers, and contributed several books. He has completed several internationally and nationally sponsored research projects and guided 13 research PhD scholars. He has served as a member of various national level expert committees, like member of 12 planning commission, uh, planning commission and several other boards. Sir will deliver a talk on sustainable livelihood, forest livelihood particularly. I am here with requesting sir to start his lecture.
Dr. Sanjay, I am trying to contact Professor Bhattacharya, sir.
Okay,
Okay, we got it.
okay, please open my video. Webcam.
You can open from your side. It's open.
We cannot open your webcam.
So the second button from on your screen.
Second button.
Yeah, I am trying to open.
Just click the button. Second from left.
But it is not opening. It's
Sumit,
not
you try
opening.
if you can as a
No,
host.
no, from our side it is not possible.
Dr. Sumit,
Yes,
can sir exist and again resign?
yes.
Okay. Should I close and again?
Sorry,
Yes.
try this option.
But start video, but it is not working. Well, can I talk only?
It's up to you.
You can listen.
We are here.
You can listen.
Your voice
Okay,
is
it is very clear. So I will not be able to, because I have to leave. I am in the office only. I have to leave. Friends, I must congratulate my fellow faculty member, Dean of USCM, for giving me this opportunity. The topic of today's topic is very interesting to my heart. That is impact of COVID-19, rural livelihood opportunities, and the reverse migration, which is presently taking. You must have observed in media what's the future sustainability in reference to the migrant population, and what are the present government initiative on that. Thank you. I will take almost about 20 minutes and then maybe 20-25 minutes, and then we can discuss about questions and all, because since my video is not working, I'm very, very sorry, because I have some interesting slides, but I must tell you this topic of livelihood.
sorry to interrupt you, sir, but you can present. You can show your slides.
I can?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sumit, please give the presenter to sir.
I can share.
Yes, sir.
Already given.
Sir, the third button.
Yes, sir, it's coming.
It is coming.
It's coming. Okay,
We can see.
it is coming. Then it is easier for me.
So just put it in presentation mode.
Yeah, I'm trying. Uh,
Yes, sir, it is fine now.
it is fine. So, uh, first of all, we like to introduce the topic of livelihood. All of you understand that we are today discussing more of the people's opportunities for their income. But livelihoods talks about the capability, their assets, and then the natural availability of resources which they get from their surroundings. So the meaning of livelihood is not just the availability of financial opportunity, but it is also trying to give other opportunity like what are their capabilities, what is their skill, what is their kind of natural surrounding, what kind of economic activities, what are the impact of stress and shock which can disturb their livelihood. And there are lots of different externalities surrounding the opportunities of livelihood. Sometimes these opportunities and constraints are going together, just like the situation of COVID. If we talk about the present scenario of, uh, of people who are who have come from rural area to urban area, they we consider them as migrants. And when they shift from their own ecosystem, they face lots of challenges. And these challenges are surrounded by the different kind of opportunities. It could be economic opportunity. And they learn also a lot of skills, which probably when they are in their own village, they may not get those opportunity to learn those skills. And the resilience they get when they interact in the city people, city kind of environment, lots of new skills they develop, like commercial skills they develop. They even start working with cell phone. They can start smart devices, and they also learn several technical skills. But when they are in village, they may be as work as farmers. Now the farmers we have several categories. It could be crop farmer, it could be fish farmer, it could be livestock farmer who produce milk, and also the tree farmer, people who raise tree for industries. But once we see the situation in our country, the farmers are really in a very bad condition, and that is how when the farming is not good, they move from their rural area, they move from their traditional economy, probably a potter, probably a graziers, probably a livestock owner. They shift from their probably a small marginal farmer. They were earlier growing some soybean or bajra or maybe wheat. Now they have shifted from that area to Delhi or Chennai or Bangalore or maybe Mumbai. So what they immediately see that they have to keep their family there. So elder people they are in the house. Elder people they are taking care of the livestock, taking care of the whatever the small home garden they left. And sometimes the husband wife they came into new world. They have lots of challenges. So their livelihood started getting threat, but their opportunity is lot of new livelihood opportunity they search. And they have noticed that the supply chain already choked up, rural economy already in tremendous stress, and then they started migrating a new climate, new people, new ecosystem, where they don't know even where from they will get drinking water. They don't know even whom to be contacted. They know they sometimes face police. They sometimes face cooperative people, lot of NGOs. So when they come for about 2 to 3 months, they learn how to behave with the city people. But this is a dry time, I must tell you. People who have shifted from different districts of Maharashtra. Now, when they have started from Mumbai to several places in Latur, Bid, or many other districts, what they have to do, what they have to face, that 100 district of India, they are so much in critical condition about water. Probably for COVID, they have to wash their hands. They don't have drinking water. How they can, wash their hand every 2 hours or every 5 hours? So the migrants, they face panic after COVID, uncertainty. One fine morning, they learn that they have to leave now. This city, they don't like them. Now there is some invisible disease has started coming. So this migrant population, they face push factor. They have to push, where from Gurgaon or from Delhi or maybe from Mumbai or Thane, they have to now go in their own area where they feel safe, where they have a temple, where they have some mango trees, where they have some old friends, young people will go there. So there, when they start, some of the pull factor now come work, because they want to go their safe zone. And what is happening in between, the harvest season started, and local people, they also face problem when their harvest product, now they can't take them into the godowns. Sometimes they are not allowed, and later on government allowed that agricultural laborer, they can work after say about 1 month or 1.5 months, people were allowed to work there. So they started walking in the highways, you have observed, and our media, they have did a wonderful job to showcase what are the kind of problems they have faced. And what we have observed, that when a Gujjar population, they take their herds of cattle, like the same way some people are taking, means people are going all their bags and baggages in hot summer of 35-40 degrees. They started because they feel this city not safe place for them. So labor markets, the first time in India, we could learn that what is labor market. What is the invisible contribution we get from these people who come all the way from Chhattisgarh, who come all the from Jharkhand, Sukna or Bihar, some parts of Jamshedpur or Jharkhand or a greater part of UP. And so if they would have stayed in their own place, they would have get 100 days MGNREGA, Manrega fund. But what is happening here? Manrega fund, they were getting only 202 rupees. And government, after they propose a big package, how much they have given? Only additional 20 rupees. So now they will be getting 220. Is this a very major boost? I don't feel. The wage rate, almost they will be getting 12% more. So what additional additional benefit they will be getting.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Are you changing slides or not?
Okay, I'll change.
Okay.
I'll change my slides. I'll change my slides as well. But Sumit, I have serious issue that I have to leave. I have to cross border. Afternoon only, I got that news that today Delhi COVID graph has raised more than 1,000.
Wow.
And they were observing few days, and today they are very, very serious, and I may have to stay in Delhi today. I'll tell you some of the aspect I wanted to tell, and that once what we are going to discuss, that government has given some of the benefit, like they will give now extra 5 kg of rice or wheat free of cost, in addition what they were getting. So is this the kind of package for which people are living to their home place? No, not at all. These people are really confused at this point of time. Back home, probably they have all opportunities of NG, NREGA, or they have livestock opportunities, or their livelihood other opportunities like NTFP collection. This is the peak season of NTFP collection, non-timber forest products. So our today's concern, my discussion argument is, this crisis is for lives and livelihood. Within lives, health to income. Within life, the safety things are coming up, and they want that they get some good transportation to reach their place. But we have lots of politics now, and this is a huge problem people are facing. Some are having, I saw some of the clippings that a cancer patient even walked along with the highways. A tuberculosis patient, all way they have started walking because they feel that their house owner, the rent which they were staying, they have asked them to leave their houses. So they have practices. They have practices to grow the tribal people, and then the other people of the migrant population. They have a practice to walk. They walk from Rajasthan to Gujarat. They walk through the highways, but this walk is totally different. Total uncertainty. They don't have drinking water with them. Some of the group leader, they had cell phone, but they have all the duty due to the battery discharges. They can't have now communication with the people. And how many people? The migrant population was around 15 million earlier. That means 1.5 crore, but it has touched now about say 20 crore population in and around different state of 60 districts of country is involved in this kind of informal economy. When we are talking about informal economy, these migrant population, they are involved earlier when they have come to big cities. They are involved either for handicraft, handloom, which is the biggest economy for country next to agriculture, is supported by handloom and handicraft. They are involved in lots of activities related to building, construction of roads, and many other ways their livelihood when they used to stay here. When they used to have their work in normal ports, I saw some video. People have started from Rajasthan to Gujarat. They, on the way, they used to walk in dhabas, earn their dinner, earn their one square meal, and in the morning they again start. So this is the kind of economic standard they have. In February, March, this is the important time for craft, handicraft. Our Delhi Heart, probably the Delhi Heart, they get lots of such people. They come and work for different types of products, including honey, including several craft items of bamboo, which are based on natural resources. They have their own weaving, they have their own earthen products, but now these all things, they are done because no one can purchase those. If you talk about the farm distress, it is a very important political debate. My argument is how we have reduced the migrant or reduced our poor people safety net for last about 40 years. It is not very new that our people are facing these challenges. And whenever election comes, first time people say about the farmers, about the migrant, about the people. But no such big discussion we had about migrant population. Only in Mumbai, some of the migrant population was, not very, we could see welcome approach. But it is now we can understand what is the kind of contribution they are making. Now, many of the MSME, minor, small scale industries, they are facing big challenges that no employees are there, no workers are there to function. And where they will go? Natural health system, they are not even receive the Ayushman Bharat schemes of the government, because many a case they have their voter I card and then their Aadhaar card from the local area where from they belong. So whatever the constitution has received, that farmers' income should be doubling of farmers' income. What we have observed, the report sample survey institution, they have given the report that only per acre people are having a kind of average land area which is around 2 acre in our country, and then the income comes around 20,000 per acre per year. And if you say 20,000 per year, then it comes around 1,300 rupees per month. So are this economy we are thinking? If it is doubling of economy, then again this 1,300 will go to 1,600 rupees per month. So after say 2025, they will have doubling of income. But we are really not serious about the 60 million people who are really suffering and who gives us all the benefits. If you take about these sectors, I have shown here some of the possibilities, some of the organizations in public sector and corporate who are supporting at village level. Take the example of Amul. It is 5 lakh people work for in different society, different cooperative movements. If you see in the western districts of India, if we see in south, if we see in the eastern region of India, cooperative movement and microfinance self-help group is very important, which we are trying to link with MG and REGA in our country. But we have to revive. This migrant population is coming to big cities because they are traditional economy like fishing, like their agriculture, like poultry, bakery, maybe blacksmithy. is all they have left because their father, their forefather, they used to do that. But after the cell phone and bike, local youth, they don't like to grow their father's economy. They want to go to Chamak Thamak Dunia, like Delhi, Mumbai. They at least want to face the, challenge. So migrants are today hungry. They are in lockdown. So it could be a food riot. I have observed in railway station that people are not following the police. So when the Mazdoor train stops someplace, people just they take the food, whatever the amount they can, and others are not getting. So they are so desperate. So these migrant laborers are very, very fragile. They are restless. We have to understand their psychology as their livelihood has gone. I talked about from Ganjam district, from Odisha, or maybe many parts of Odisha, they are best plumbers. From some of the state, some of the districts of UP, they are the best painters. They are the best, builders. They are the best people working from Jharkhand or Bihar. They are best for building material workers. So we have to understand some of them in UP, they are the best agricultural laborer. And I think we have to work on their expertise. We are talking about smart cities, but if 100 smart cities we are planning to give so much of fund. Now, what is the real problem of the country has come during the lockdown, that we are talking about 250 or 300 kilometers free train, but our people are going by walk. We are unable to give them a train. We are unable to give them a proper transport facilities. So we have to understand what is the real situation of this country. Across India, this problem is facing. And big policymakers, these big technocrats, big bureaucrats, they are unable to understand what to do, how to manage. When in the morning, Dadar station, or maybe in Mumbai, proper say, in the central station, about 2,000 people standing with their children in this hot summer. They don't have water, and they say they get the information that today the train will not go. Then they are nowhere because they have left their houses. Now, whatever the bag and baggages they have, they are in station. So they sleep there. They forgot about COVID-19. They forgot about everything. So, and they don't have opportunity to contact their houses also. People back home, in their village, they are having lots of tension. So what we are thinking that if, like few days back when Amphan came, I had my project site in Sundarban. I was discussing with the people, and I tell you, gentlemen, and the research scholar students, that these, the crop insurance is totally fudgy. Everything is happening in our country. It is totally, if you are cultivating gehu, they will write soybean, so that you will not, make a claim. And this is the things going on. And this, most of the people, they are uneducated. They are doing the, crop insurance through the bank, and bank don't take responsibility. Bank says you have to talk to insurance provider. So big corporations are the owner for these insurance companies. We know better that they are not giving a proper health insurance. And how can they do the crop insurance? They are really a challenging issue. We must do lots of research, how people are facing difficulties. And And the privatization of water is coming in big way in India, which was there in other countries. And lots of big corporates are grabbing the village resources. And particularly, if you see, the mining resources are grabbed by corporations, big corporations. Water is now going to take, minerals has already taken. So these people are facing tremendous problem, whether you talk about Odisha, whether you talk about Chhattisgarh, you talk about Northeast. And so our people are really facing, our Prime Minister says, be vocal for local. So we have to be vocal for local. And that is why I am taking this topic today, be vocal for the local. We have to grow more makhana in our Bihar, in our places in Bihar. Best kesar produced in Kashmir. We have to safeguard our product, ragi in Karnataka, or bamboo in Northeast, in Tripura, or maybe say chili for Andhra Pradesh, or some of the best kind of medicinal plants like acacia, they grow in Rajasthan. We have lots of resources. We have to develop our such resources, such facilities for their storage, supply chain. We have to develop all this, and that is how government came with a proposal. Not only MGA, NREGA, the big support of infrastructure and other support which government has given recently, that 1.8 lakh crore for the distress. Now this 1.8 lakh crore of about, it is given for a push to economy. So all our people, whoever the researchers, we have to understand that government has shifted planning commission money for the state to provide the development work, either for agriculture, horticulture, fisheries. All these things were given to state government to develop, and central government had some of these money to provide. So they have took this opportunity to provide 1.8 crore, 1.8 crore lakh, 1.8 lakh crore money, which is used for as a distress relief package for people of India from the central government. So in these we have like first package is 1.70. That means 1,70,000 crore is for 50 lakh people for supporting the again crop insurance, Pradhan Mantri Anna Yojana, then the giving to 5 kg rice per month per individual. Next 3 months, 3 to 6 months, it will go for Kishan Samriddhi Yojana. Then the 8.69 crore farmers will get benefit out of that. And then the wage increase, as I said in MGA and NREGA, now people will get around 202 rupees. Earlier they used to get 182 rupees. So, and some of the benefit to the senior citizens, they will get 2,000 rupees for entire COVID time, and about 20 lakh rupees will go to SHG, self-help group, and self-help group can take up lots of natural resource based livelihood generation program. I will give you what are the possible income generation activity one can do. This is the slide. You can see what are the different programs at local level. Giving simple 1 month training program. All these items can be given them hands-on training, just like we do summer training program, just like we do training program, just like this one faculty development program. Local people also require. After BTech, we go for MTech, then for PhD. But we are giving 1 or 2 day training program for the local farmer. How can they capable to sustain their livelihood? We have to give them lots of training because we have fund now. This fund which Government of India has allocated, it is a tremendous support. And you remember, United Nations has given $2 trillion package, like the same way Canada given $82 billion. But our package, as per India's condition, we have a good package, but we require technocrats, we require several IITs, we require several institutions, universities, and national institutions to support our people, support their livelihood. Only big research, not useful for keeping those in a big journal. No one reads those. And it is kept in the biodata or CV. Now the time has come. We do something for our local people. It could be good ecotourism. It could be good processing. It could be good. We were discussing previous session about the livelihood related to energy for energy development, because this country requires lots of energy, and many of the corporations taking our energy resources. Reliance taking major share of your natural gases, and Ambani's they were not having that kind of resources with them. But last 7 to 10 years time, this all natural gas from our sea, they are the owner. That is how they are very one of the richest in our one of the richest in India. And we have to understand how local people have their say in this. And local area, I discussed lots of opportunities. Now nursery is a very good opportunity. Now you get in your tele shopping, nursery products are coming to your doorstep. If you have a best kind of climber, best a flowering plant, our rural people, our farmers, they have excellent skill to develop those. Mushroom, jam, jelly, papad, Lijat papad, giving economy for around 30,000 people in Rajasthan. So that kind of scale of economy we have to follow. Our NGOs, they start their program, and 1 or 2 years they continue. When the fund dies up, they leave those activities. So we have to do lots of research, support from DST, support from CSIR, and we have to link, just like other countries. I must tell you, China did. When the electronic revolution came in China, they gave the training to uneducated women that how to compile electronic phone, how to develop the small ancillaries to make television in a cheaper price. So we have similar kind of thing which we must do. But in villages we have basket making from Nikinthas, Harsinger, rope making, natural dye. Natural dye is very important component. Shishal agate, shishal, then fiber, shishal fiber, agave, medicinal herb processing. Because this time we have in package, one package Government of India has given that to grow herbal cultivation, 4,000 crore is allocated to National Medicinal Plant Board, and they will involve 29 states to develop medicinal plant growing, processing, and TriFed also working with the tribals in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, in Northeast, where rural community, they can collect their minor forest products, process it, and they can develop dairy. There is a 9,000 crore for fishery, because India is having 7,500 square kilometer of coastal area, and millions of people are depending for fish capture. and we have to develop their instruments. We have to develop their essential nets and all, so that their livelihood, that is the old economy, traditional economy. A fisherman born and brought up with lots of knowledge about climate. A fisherman knows when when what is the condition of sea, and when to go for fishing, when not to go for fishing. So this traditional knowledge is linked with certain economy, and that has to be protected. That has to be encouraged. Not only agriculture, because fishing, maybe in lots of community in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, in Uttarakhand, they are into beekeeping. Beekeeping is a very important traditional economy, and Government of India has given recently 500 crore to develop the beekeepers economy, so that it is another livelihood approach, livelihood potentiality. So we have a research institute for honey processing and production in Pune. So that has to be involved. That can give a technical support that beehive should not be destroyed. How sustainably we can collect bee, and it will create a ripple effect in the economy. So post-harvest mechanism, not only agriculture, but also non-timber forest product, but also the your tree product for uh, many of the industries like paper industry, plywood industry, pharmaceutical. That means like Baba Ramdev, Patanjali. It has come in last 5 years. Can you imagine? He is challenging with Hindustan liver. So the 5,000 to now he is talking about 50,000 crore economy with those little educational background. So it is not very difficult. It is the willpower. It is taking people with the product. Like that's how I said the lack one product. We get lots in Uttar Pradesh, in case of part of West Bengal, in Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, lakhs. And lakh is, as you know, lacquer polish, the covering of fruits. Lakh is also very important processing item. We are the second producer after Indonesia. And we have like several other products like mango pickles. The huge commercial impact of these products. The char, which is diuretic, cassia tora, which is used as in coffee adulteration or coffee mix, leaf cup, like lots of leaves are used, just like sal leaf plate, Bohemia leaf plate, or Mahul leaf plate in Odisha. It is the economy of 1,000 crore. Can you imagine? We don't know. And large number of people are involved in West Bengal and Odisha, and that border place in Jharkhand, their economy is that. So we have to give them, Kharagpur IIT, I was working with them for developing a press, leaf press for plate making, so that it gives the livelihood for the local area where even electricity is not there. You can use biomass for the pressing machine to run, and for lots of medicinal plants like Satavar, Aula, we have the cluster. Like in UP, there is a place where only Aula tree people produce. So this is the kind of products we have. We have sericulture cluster, just like we have Hollywood is a cluster for movie, or maybe Surat is a cluster for medicinal plants. We have to develop several clusters for like bamboo product, honey product, ecotourism product, and this product we have to involve and then develop some model where gatherer will collect, and lots of MBA, business administration people, they work with the collector and how to develop these models. and primary processing units. And then they have to link with self-help group, cooperatives. And here MGNREGA money can come, and lots of research is required, the value chain and product sustainability, because all products we cannot take mercilessly, because we have to see their regeneration, their sustainability at forest area, forest floor. So we have to understand the marketing. So there are different dimensions. There are dimensions, so social dimension, economic dimension, policy dimension, because as you know, there are certain policies which support, like you have FRA, Forest Right Act. We have a act called we have a PESA Act. In PESA, people's right, panchayats are given rights, biodiversity right or product rights, and Jal, Jangal, Jameen, Januar, all is now property of local panchayats. So how this policy has to be implemented? We have already policy, so you require proper governance mechanism. And as an academic community, we have to publish such research paper which our policy maker, a collector can get it, and then he can implement. A divisional forest officer can get it, and he implement in the rural area. So people will not move from their village to cities. So we at least we can keep certain people in their own land with the skill development, with the technology, and so we have lots of such product. I discussed about Baripada and Midnapur. These are the sal leaf plate making, and there are clusters. How these clusters is mapped. There are market channel for every product. We have to develop marketing channels. And this product, like this is Amla in Chhattisgarh, how this Amla is processed, taking all mechanism, all good manufacturing practices, hand gloves, they are doing with sun dry, and this sun dry product can go for other, next step of processing. And this is in Andhra Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, major product is imli. Imli brick, they develop imli brick, lots of economic development, and by that way, each cluster there are about 2,700 women. They are working, and 9 to 50 village in one cluster, and that is the way government is supporting. It is by several funding sources. It could be through JICA, World Bank. It could be through state government and other government money. So you can see this imli goes to even Arabian countries like Dubai, where lots of South people stay. They use this brick. It goes to 5-star hotel for several of food preparation or sambar or other things. So we have to understand how this goes. Ministry of Science and Technology, they are using lots of products now with bamboo, and bamboo shoots. It is an important item for as a food. So bamboo shoots in Delhi, if you want to eat, you have to go for a very sophisticated, departmental store, and that's how it comes from Dimapur, Jorhat, and Meghalaya, Manipur. These all they have the centers. Even the bamboo sticks are used for agarbatti making, and there is a economics, there is a ecology, there is a social aspect. So we can see that now bamboo board composites are developed. Big companies are set up in Northeast, and we need many more. Like in Madhya Pradesh, like in Gujarat, there are bamboo producing areas. We can in Madhya Pradesh, Balaghat, bamboo could be seasoned, manufacture craft, then dyeing technology, textile, lots of opportunities. They are dyeing, natural dye, because natural dye is used for silk, natural dye is used for paper, your all camelin and all, they are using those natural dye, and natural dye comes from root, natural dye comes from leaves or several plants. So wood dye, bark dye, flower dye, fruit dye. There are lots of that and lots of plant. I can take a separate session, but it is not the time. These are like Butia, tuna. These all flower. They are producing red, orange, yellow. These are the plants product and how you can do it. What are the products required for dye making? We have to train our local people, and then this dye is very, very costly. I tell you, some of the dye we are using for our gur making, and this gur in UP and Maharashtra, this gur is produced with a chemical dye which is used for coloring of walls or paint. That dye is used for gur making. जो गन्ना की और sugar cane से जो गुड़ बनता है, which is cancerous. We must do a lot of research, but we have opportunities for this dye, and people can work for dyeing leaves and then simple technology, and you can see beautiful washing. There is a process, filtering process, and we can get the effluents clear, and then we get these colorful threads. And this is using majorly in textile technology, where people will get livelihood both way. And so this is the way the model functions and socio-economic benefits. There are different factors work again. So what we have to do, microeconomics, economy of scale is required. That how many people, how much funding, how big is your unit for livelihood. Then value chain analysis, how from production to manufacturing finished product. When a product is from a big company, people blindly they purchase, since it is from Hindustan Lever or maybe a gene from Lee or Hara, they go. So this is the brand. So we have to develop brand image, and local community-based, community-owned enterprise we can develop. Access to finance. Now government is supporting lot for getting the finance, but we have to keep proper financing mechanism, proper tax, proper GST. All these we have to train our local people. And then market. Lots of now new entrepreneurs coming. Lots of market opportunities are coming. By that way, China grabbed whole world market. When I was traveling to Niagara, I saw a Niagara Falls memento they were giving that is developed in China. So why not we develop that kind of model? We develop lots of things with our local people. We develop our self-help group. We can develop our, pop rice or Milo or maybe the ragi, and give it for breakfast. Make it such a way, such a packaging, and that could be a breakfast item, just like muesli. We can develop it with local community. So we require some of the strong, dynamic, strong social network, because local people have network. We have to go next level of network, involve the panchayat, involve the district collector, involve the ministers, and then the involve others, like we have scholars, we have researchers, facilitation, effective facilitation. It requires market information. If one market is not giving proper value, we can go to next market. Enabling environment is very, very important. And so we have always target oriented approach. We have to go process orientation. Sometimes diffuse focus to proper focus, lack of capacity, capability, lack of market linkage, unorganized planning. So these are the things required to take up when we are talking about the infrastructure development and to develop our. So I'm talking about lots of products which are related to that, and also this is the kind of other the total in in our case, agroforestry could be one. Jahan pe, uh, you have the places where you cannot develop proper agriculture because of irrigation difficulties, water is problem. There you can go for agroforestry, farm owner, marginal, small farm, medium farm, large farm, according to their agriculture land, we can grow wood, we can grow timber, and that timber could be utilized by built Ballarpur industry, ITC, because we require lots of paper, and for paper manufacturing we are under resource, means we import lots of product from for manufacturing of our paper, because now education and other lots of increase in the paper demand, and that is how, and we can involve our local community for a nursery preparation in the greenhouse, in the mist chamber, and lots of technology is available, and you can see the kind of nursery and then the kind of clonal planting materials we can develop, and here lots of income people can get in like big nursery clonal propagation, and this clonal material will give very straight, very nice wood, and that wood could be utilized. That's like ITC in Andhra Pradesh, they are giving 5 lakh people income and opportunity for their own employment. So this is a major, kind of intervention where we have to give awareness generation, on-field training, how to raise these trees and how to raise these nursery, and then people can get the farm product from and best kind of quality clonal material they can develop, like the way Western UP, Meerut, the other places in UP, Punjab, and not many places. And now one thing we have to clear that we have now, India is the only country where agroforestry, national agroforestry policy is available. So this national agroforestry policy gives lot of opportunity for production of. So due to climate change, due to climate vulnerability, we should not go always in all places our seasonal crop. We have to go for a long-term crop, and for long-term crop we have already horticulture, beautiful horticultural development in our country, and simultaneously we have to go for tree cultivation, and this can grow. In the back you can see eucalyptus plantation, how the support of local people, we can do block plantation, bund plantation, agroforestry, and in Rajasthan, in the drier area, along the bund, along the canal, they have cultivated that which could be utilized for your energy plantation. It could be used for farm bunding. It could control your wind. It could control your temperature. So these are carbon. We are generating carbon. So my thinking is all these local people, local technology. It is a triangle. Local people, local technology, and local resource. Okay. So local people, local technology, and local resources. When we keep those 3 things together, then wonderful business model can be developed, and our local people then can get lot of earning at their own ecosystem, at their own villages, and they reduce their vulnerability, and we can control our climate change as well. We can develop our carbon. It is called carbon production. Lot many ways. So we have to give choice to our farmer, land suitability, scope of irrigation, and based on the local suitability edaphic factor, we can grow intercropping with banana, yams, based on different places, potato, sweet potato, ginger, yams, we can grow. And this is the beautiful kind of result we can get out of eucalyptus based, out of makkah, haldi, and Orissa is the best for turmeric. Lot of turmeric, tamarind in certain places, which is in forest area, but turmeric we can grow a lot with tree production. So there are beautiful models how livelihood and economy can go together. Thank you very much. I think I will close because most of the things I have discussed. Only thing I will tell you that this topic require integrated planning, lot of thinking for lot of thinking which is required to develop their capacity, and the migrant population, we can see that they will come back maybe after 1 year or a few months, because they may not get lots of economic support in their villages. So we have to wait and see. But these distress we can minimize. We cannot change the whole economy, but we have to inculcate a lot of things. So we are expecting a ripple effect out of this initiative, and I fully understand the condition of our poor uh, tribals, our local people, and we feel in these kind of difficult situation, their safety, security, ecosystem security, health security, they will take care, and we can do lot of things for them. That is my proposition to tell you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I like to be with this faculty development program with you people. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, sir, for a wonderful lecture, sir. And Professor Bhattacharya, in spite of very busy schedule, accepted our invitation, and he is additional in charge of additional charge of our examination, controller of examination, and still so nicely he presented the topic. And in the COVID era, particularly when a big question how to accommodate local the reverse migration, how to generate local livelihood. This is the right reply as presented by sir the concept, and we should learn from him. Thank you, sir, for delivering such a wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you for giving such opportunity.
Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you
Namaskar.
for joining us for such a great lecture you delivered. I think it has, too much utility and raised several questions and opportunities for crores of people who have migrated during this COVID times. I think
Yes, thank
we can
you.
learn the lesson. Even government can implement such kind of recommendation you told during your lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Gupta. I enjoyed. I fully enjoyed. Thank you. I will now move. Okay. See you. Yes.
Sanjay,
Yes.
what next?
So we have to wind up.
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to say something, or I have to?
Smith, do we have to wind up or not now?
Okay. So thank you for joining all. And tomorrow again we are going to meet at 2 o'clock. And there are few queries, like every time we are having a same kind of query. So every day session will start from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the evening, and it will have 2 sessions, and every session will have separate attendance. So thank you again for joining, and see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock.